EU foreign ministers are meeting to discuss whether to slap fresh sanctions on Russia over the jailing of opposition leader Alexei Navalny. The EU's push to punish the Kremlin follows what some called a disastrous trip to Moscow earlier this month by the bloc's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell.
The EU's top diplomat insisted he had to find out face-to-face the Kremlin's views on relations with the bloc.
The European Union at this stage is an unreliable partner.
Russia expelled 3 EU diplomats while Borrell was there, which he admits he only learned from social media. After heavy criticism for his passive performance next to Lavrov's laceration of the EU, Borrell says he's now convinced Russian authorities are not interested in rapprochement.
The answer has been clear. No, they are not.
That led Borrell to promise concrete proposals on tougher measures.
It will be for the member states to decide the next step, but yes, this could include sanctions.
The EU already has a wide range of sanctions on Russian individuals and entities related, for example, to Moscow's illegal 2014 annexation of Crimea, for supporting separatist activities in eastern Ukraine, and for involvement in the August poisoning of Alexei Navalny. But the subsequent jailing of Navalny after his return to Russia, as well as police brutality against pro-Navalny protesters, has EU governments pressing for harsher measures now. Lithuania has led that call.
Those should be personal sanctions. Those should be sanctions on the entities which have to do with repressions against opposition.
A letter signed by almost 170 politicians, academics, and activists this week urges EU leaders to use the new human rights sanctions mechanism known as the European Magnitsky Act to target the Nord Stream 2 pipeline project and to include the Russian president's wealthy inner circle. That last option, says former EU diplomat David Stulik, would be a game changer.
Russia might then realize that the EU also has these red lines and cannot be pushed beyond them. And that would be a kind of a surprise for Russians, because finally they would see that their bluff policy doesn't work anymore.
It's unclear how close to the Kremlin penalties will come this time around. EU officials say it's hard to prove oligarchs personally finance human rights abuses. Russia is threatening to cut ties with the EU if any new sanctions go forward. With Lavrov warning, Russia wants peace, but is prepared for war.
Well, ahead of the EU foreign ministers meeting in Brussels, German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas gave his backing to new Russia sanctions.
Here in Brussels today, we will discuss whether to order the imposition of new sanctions on Russia. In particular, as a result of the conviction of Alexei Navalny and the fact that he has to serve his sentence in a penal colony. I am in favor of ordering the preparation of additional sanctions listing specific individuals.
Let's bring in our Brussels bureau chief, Alexandra von Namen. Hi, Alexandra. What kind of measures are we likely to see here, and against whom?
The European Union is likely to impose travel bans and asset freezes against individuals that are believed to be directly involved in Alexei Navalny's conviction and incarceration. And the EU is also expected to use its new sanctions regime that allows the bloc to go after human rights abusers. So we're probably talking about people in judiciary, prosecutors, judges. For the European Union, it is important to make sure that they have a clear evidence that those individuals were directly responsible for Alexei Navalny's incarceration, so that sanctions against them cannot be overturned in courts.
But these sanctions would require a unanimous support. Is that likely?
Yes, it seems that all ministers, all member states are on board, even Russia-friendly countries, like, for example, Hungary. Germany, as we just heard, is also supporting further sanctions, even though the German foreign minister said that Germany still would like to try ways to make it possible to work with Russia on international issues. So dealing with Russia is definitely a balancing act. Let's have a listen to what the German foreign minister had to say.
At the same time, we have to look for ways to maintain a dialogue with Moscow. We need Russia to solve many international conflicts. So one question that will have to occupy us is, how is it possible to maintain a constructive dialogue with Russia, even though relations between the EU and Russia are certainly at an all-time low at the moment?
Alexander, we heard it there, maintain dialogue, but Russia is threatening to break off ties with the EU. Is that a threat that Brussels needs to take seriously?
Well, I think that Brussels takes it seriously, but Brussels also knows that Russia cannot be actually interested, really seriously interested in breaking off ties with the European Union. And Russia's foreign minister Lavrov has already softened his tone, saying that sanctions won't prevent Russia from deepening investment partnerships with EU member states. EU member states account for more than 40% of Russia's trade turnout. And of course, it's possible that Russia could decide to break off ties with the EU institutions. But how can you maintain good relations with EU member states if you don't have any relations with the European Union, with the European Commission, for example? So we'll have to wait and see how Russia is really going to react to those expected new sanctions.
Our Brussels bureau chief, Alexandra von Namen, reporting on the very latest there. Thank you so much.